Right. Hello and welcome, FPL managers, and welcome after the the FA Cup break. And yeah, we are back for the zonal weakness gaming 25, double gaming 25, in fact. And yeah, today you'll have to bear with me because I'm doing it all alone. Unfortunately, Sankalp is unavailable today, and of course, or as well as what you call it, Bethany is also unavailable. So yeah, I'll have to do it all alone, and I'll try my level best to actually get through as quickly as possible. But yeah, if I do, I'm not as good as they are. So that's why I kind of play the host role and they kind of do the analysis. But I'll try my best and hope you'll be able to enjoy this in the meantime. Let's get started then. And of course, this is the zonal weakness for the double game week 25. And we are producing this on a regular and weekly basis. So if you're not following us or like our Facebook page or subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you are missing out on a lot of information that's related to the zonal, and it's been doing pretty good. And of course, all the stats that you see on the zonal are taken from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you're interested in the membership and get a 40% discount, then click on the link in the description below. And of course, you will get 40% discount and access to all the interesting and expert articles from several brilliant FPL managers, but also access to all the data that you need, including the zonal data. So yeah, hurry up and click in the link in the description below, and there you go. Let's start with the zonal transfer review. Now, this is where in Game Week 21, we kind of suggested Eze as one of our transfer review or transfer suggestions for the game week. And looking back at it, it seems like he's just managed to score 3.75 points per match, which is a little bit disappointing given the fixture that Crystal Palace had. And of course, the way as they started, it looked a little bit promising, particularly with Leicester delivering 6 points against West Ham. But I think it was a bit disappointing in a sense that, with Brentford, he wasn't really being able to deliver that much. And of course, things were a little bit difficult despite winning against Manchester United in Game Week 24. Yeah, it was a bit. But however, he managed to score 15 points over the last four game weeks, and points per match, of course, is 3.75. Not the best that we expected, but again, yeah, it's a bit disappointing to be honest. So let's see. Let's try and do better this week. Yeah. All right, so the double game week 25 has been announced, and as we all know, it's Aston Villa and Liverpool who are doubling, of course. So we are going to first look at, and this is the slide as you can see on your screen, are actually focusing on the double game week itself, where Liverpool plays Wolves and Aston Villa, and of course, Aston Villa plays Ipswich and Liverpool. I'll start with the Liverpool assets first. Nunez and Szoboszlai looks really good. Wolves have really considered 25th chances down the center and are ranked fifth. But those who are still planning to play the triple captainship against on Salah, sorry, it still looks like a promising shout because Wolves have actually considered 16 chances down the left flank and are ranked 10th. But when you look at the fixture against Aston Villa looks a little bit much more defensively solid compared to Wolves, and this is where they have only considered 14 chances but are ranked 16. It's just a difference of two chances, but the ranking is a bit more, what you call it, the difference looks a bit stark, but actually in terms of the number of chances considered, if you really compare the two teams, it's not much. So the triple captain still looks a very good option. Now, those who have actually transferred Gakpo, yeah, he still looks like a good option to me. TA is a hold for now because he's going to be training probably, and according to Slott's press conference, it appears that he might be available or likely to be available for Game Week 25. So I would say hold on to your transfers with TAA and just keep him. And I'm expecting at least my hunch is that he would likely to play in double gaming 25, and of course his prospect looks good in the sense that they have actually Aston Villa have actually considered 59 crosses from the left flank where they are ranked fourth worst. So, yeah, there is still the possibility for TA to get an assist and, of course, probably probably a clean sheet here and there would actually take the point. And why would you actually transfer out a player that is actually in your team and then is already going to have a double? And just because there is a little bit of a concern about it, whether he's going to start or not this week, which is still double game week 24. Um, yeah, it would be more of an hasty decision, to be honest. Now let's look at Aston Villa, and of course Rashford has now left Manchester United and gone on loan to Aston Villa, where Ipswich have actually considered 23 chances, and that's where Rashford is likely to play. And they are ranked fourth. Ipswich is ranked fourth, so there is going to be a chance, of course, for Rashford to get some score, but also Ramsey might occupy that similar position depending on what Emery thinks. Yeah, so his prospects are also high. But I think the two assets that is being much talked about from the Aston Villa point of view are Rogers and Watkins, who are likely to occupy the center position, and that's where Ipswich have actually considered 31 chances and are ranked second worst. So yeah, there is a reason behind the hype as to why these two players are being proposed by several FPL content creators and managers as the options to go to from Aston Villa if you are trying to target Aston Villa assets for the double game week. And I think the Zonal supports that argument to an extent. Yeah. But against Liverpool, again, this is where Aston Villa might find it a little bit difficult because Liverpool have just considered 15 chances and are ranked 13th down the center, but ranked 15 down the right flank and ranked 20th, which is the best down the left flank. So again, the possibility for TAA to get a clean sheet down that wing is quite high. Yeah, so I would say hold on to your Liverpool assets if you are planning to change your assistant managership. I wouldn't really. If you're trying to play safe, of course, then slot is a good option. But then if you are trying to take the bit of a risk, Emery is a good option to be. Um, at least particularly from the Ipswich point of view. But there could be an upset on the card here for Liverpool as well. So yeah, that could be an option. So yeah, that's done with the double game week for 25. Let's go with and focus on the single game week here, and we'll start with Bournemouth versus Southampton. And as you can see, Otter and Clivert are the ones that are really marked white here. Now, as you know, only the top five or the worst five are ranked um, are colored white. So those you can clearly see Otter and Clivert there, kind of in the white mark or highlighted white. Southampton has been the worst when it comes to chances conceded down the center. Have conceded 34 chances. Yeah, but at the same time, Tavernier and Brooks also looks a little bit promising down the left, where they have conceded 20 chances and are ranked 8. So yeah, I think those are the two players that we should be keeping an eye on, particularly from the Bournemouth asset. But Carquez looks promising too, in terms of the right flank, and I think the chances are there as well. So yeah, just keep an eye on. I think it's going to be interesting, particularly the Bournemouth asset moving forward, in terms of the fixtures that they have. Now, West Ham versus Brentford. I think this is a game that we can expect quite a number of goals. In particular, you can see West Ham have actually conceded 30 chances down the right flank and are ranked worst, where Shada or Luis Potter is likely to occupy that position. So I wouldn't be really surprised if I see them on the scorecard here. And then Mbomo, of course, our favorite asset to have from Brentford. I think that's where West Ham have actually considered 26 chances and are ranked second. So Mbomo is likely to be again on the card. If you haven't really transferred him, I think he should be the one who should be transferred in immediately. Then looking at the Brentford defense, and I think the Brentford defense also doesn't really look very promising, as you can see, because down the right flank, they're ranked worst. Down the center, they're ranked second worst. And down the left flank, they are worst, second worst again. So that's where Kudus, Bowen, and Emerson, as you can see on the chart here, are likely going to occupy this position. So all the three front attacking options from West Ham are likely to be on the scorecard, and Brentford is away at home. So away from home. So yeah, they might be struggling here a little bit. Um, Now, moving on to Newcastle versus Manchester City, and of course, Newcastle looks a little bit much more solid, except on the left flank where Foden is likely to play, and that's where Newcastle have actually considered 26 chances and are ranked second worst. So, if you have Foden, probably this might be a match to hold on to if you don't have any other burning transfers. Haaland looks promising in terms of headed considered, as Newcastle have considered 17 headed consider chances and are ranked fourth. So that would be another interesting point. Marmoush and Gavardiol could be also on the scorecard because they are just slightly above the worst rank and are ranked sixth, particularly from the right flank, where Newcastle have actually considered 19 chances. So I wouldn't be really surprised on that. Manchester City, on the other hand, doesn't have a really watertight defense. And as you can see, Isaac and Gordon and Hall are standing out because Manchester City have actually considered 25 chances down the center and are ranked fifth. This is where Isaac could capitalize on the kind of form that he finds himself currently. I wouldn't really be surprised to see Isaac back in the score sheet. Gordon again looks promising, and I know some of us are concerned over these upcoming fixtures, but again, this fixture doesn't really look problematic, at least from the zonal point of view, where Manchester City have actually considered 20 chances down the right flank and are ranked fifth. Nothing much to really talk about despite Tottenham's leaky defensive options. Manchester United doesn't really seem to be standing out here, except those who have Ahmad can still hold on to Ahmad because that's where Tottenham have actually considered 26 chances and are ranked sixth. So Ahmad and Mazraoui are likely to be on the scorecard. But again, in terms of the crosses considered, again, they have considered 75 chances and are ranked second. So Ahmad and Mazraoui are the only players that I would hold on to. Beside that, I'm not really very keen on 𝐙𝐸 and Højlund and Fernandes or Garnacho. I think Tottenham are kind of relatively showed much more better numbers or at least underlying data when it comes to these particular two flanks. Moving on to Crystal Palace versus Everton, and I think this looks a little bit again one interesting in a sense that Everton have Crystal Palace have actually conceded 27 chances down the left flank and are ranked one or worst. That's where Lindstrom and O'Brien are likely to occupy that position. Now, a lot of people have shown a lot of interest on Beto recently, but Michaelenko and NDIA still looks promising because from the right flank, Crystal Palace have actually considered 19 chances and are ranked sixth. So yeah, that looks again promising. Tarkowski would be another outsider to be on the scorecard because of the headed considered, where Crystal Palace have actually considered 16 and are ranked fifth. Moving on to Everton, of course, what I do see here is nothing much stands out except Eze, where Everton, in terms of the crosses considered from the right flank, have actually considered 75 and are ranked second worst. So beside that, I think Mateta, despite his hot streak form currently, doesn't really stand out in the zonal matrix, where he's ranked 11th. So yeah, I think that's the first slide that we have covered. So yeah, a couple of players are really interesting, and moving forward, I think they would continue to do perform well. Let's move on to the next slide then. Starting with Fulham versus Nottingham Forest, and I don't really see a good prospect for Wood here, where Fulham are ranked 19th down the center. So they are second best in terms of the central defensive positioning or chances conceded down the center. So that's where Wood might be struggling a little bit against Fulham. But then again, if you look at the headed considered, I wouldn't be surprised if Wood still manages to sneak in. And the kind of form he's finding himself, I think he's been outperforming his 𝐙𝐸 throughout the season. And we were in a kind of a position hoping that, things will slow down and he will stop scoring. But apparently he just continues his run. So I don't think so. Wood should be the one that should be transferred out. Although the zonal is not really backing him this week, I would suggest that you keep him. Now, Robinson is another gift that we need to talk about, at least from the appeal point of view. And here we can see Nottingham Forest have actually considered 26 chances down the right flank and are ranked third. So I wouldn't be surprised even if Nottingham Forest manages to score and take the clean sheet away from Fulham, but Robinson might be again providing some sort of an assist. I wouldn't really go down the ESR and IOB path, and Jimenez as well. Um, Beside Robinson, I really don't fancy any other asset currently from Fulham at this moment, despite Jimenez and ESR are kind of marked white here. Um, I'll skip straight away to the Leicester versus Arsenal game. And this is where I see that our Arsenal is not really. I thought the Arsenal options are going to stand out really quite well, but apparently it's not. Leicester has been showing a little bit of a kind of a form, I think. I don't know. At least the defensive numbers doesn't look as bad as we look as it looks, and it's only on the left flank where they have considered 26 chances and are ranked second worst. But that's why it's marked white, and that's where Odegaard and Newari is going to play. Now Newari is only played a couple of minutes, so I wouldn't really go down that path. But Odegaard is an option that if you want to really fancy an Arsenal asset, I would really go there. Trossard and others, I would still wait and watch. But yeah, this match could be where Gabriel and others might, Raya and other defensive options might get some clean sheet and get back into the form that they've found themselves, or at least the ones that we are expecting or hoping from Arsenal. In terms of Manchester United and Bournemouth, I wouldn't really touch much upon Manchester United. To be honest, there is nothing really standing out except Heung-min Son. He might be again on the score sheet if he's playing down the center, where Manchester United have actually considered 21 chances and are ranked eighth. So that's another option that perhaps it's really not a burning transfer options. So not much really to elaborate. But yeah, if you're fancying some sort of a fund, I think this could be one that you might just want to take. But I wouldn't really recommend, and this is not a recommendation really. It's just what the zonal is suggesting that that's where Son could likely capitalize. So that's why I'm proposing it. But it's not to suggest that you bring him in right now. Yeah. Moving on, and the last fixtures that I'm going to cover is Bournemouth. And again, here, Southampton only seems to be the Southampton option that only seems to stand out is down the center because Bournemouth have actually considered 27 chances down the center and are ranked fourth. So Onukochu, I think his name is Onua. Sorry, my apologies for not being able to pronounce that name. But yeah, I think he's the only option down the center. He's scored in the last previous game week, so he could find himself again. Fernandez is another option down the center. So Onuachu is, I think his name is, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Onuachu would be the only one that is likely to be on the scorecard against the match in Bournemouth. But I wouldn't really expect that. But then Southampton has this tendency of, kind of overperforming and sometimes managing to take the clean sheet away by scoring one more goal. So yeah, that's that. Let's move on to the team of the week then. And here we can see nothing really surprising. We can see Watkins, Gakpo, Clivert, Rogers, and Bowen, but Mboma and Salah. So the midfield looks really solid, and I think those players have been standing out in the zonal matrix as well. As and we kind of already discussed it. Carcass is the one that I was not really standing out much when you look at the zonal statistics, but from the other defensive statistics taking into account, I think he looked quite good. So that's why he makes it into the zonal team. Robinson and of course TA is there as well, and goalkeeper is of course from Aston Villa with a double game week. It's Martinez. So yeah, I think the team looks pretty solid and it's likely to score. So yeah, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope if I've made some mistakes, please do forgive. But yeah, again, that's why I am the host, and usually it's Sankalpa and Bethany who does the analysis. But yeah, do let me know in the comments if you are finding any issues or if you have any concerns. But until then, we'll be back again next week for the Game Week 26 with Bethany. Take care. Bye bye.